basically, my discussion today or presentation is around how to kickstart your career. Okay, this is going to be generic, so it covers all different areas of every industry, and it's basically aimed at grads, young people who basically they want to understand is how to set up a CV, how to set up your LinkedIn, how to engage, and how to basically apply for internships and jobs. Well, let's get going. Right. So why does all this matter? Because employers aren't just looking for grades; they're looking for beyond that. They're looking for your extracurricular activities. They're looking for how can you add value to their organization. A strong CV and LinkedIn profile can open doors. That's why it matters, and that's why I'm doing this, is because I think not enough effort is put in at university, at schools, at colleges to give people enough help in this area. And also, first impressions often happen online now rather than in person. Years ago, I mean, I'm a person of a certain generation and age. When we were growing up, you meet people face to face, and there was much less done online. Today, it's totally reversed. Everything is all about online and basically giving that first impression in an online setting. So, building a standout CV. Now, there's certain ways in which you need to do this to make sure that when you're applying for a job, that it actually makes sense to the hiring manager. First thing, keep it clear and concise. So the font and the text size, make sure it's a legible font and the size of the text is readable. Most people still view things online rather than printing them off. So sometimes it doesn't matter. Some people say do it as a PDF, it's neater. And some people say do it as a document, have both forms and just see what they'll let you send through. On the page one, on the first page, what you really need to do is you need to have 4 very key things. So a strong personal statement, usually that's around 1 to 2 paragraphs, and that incorporates your skills, your experience, and how you add value. Your skills need to be in a certain section, and also your achievements. Now, if you're a young person and you've not really worked in that industry, this could be also interchanged with a project section from your university or from your college, or from any work experience that you've done or home labs that you're creating. As again, I'm trying to create this generically. So, for example, if you've got an interest in software engineering and you've actually written an application or an app, you should have the details in your achievements. And then also the things like tools. So if you're in, say, cybersecurity and you've worked with Nmap, or you work with Burp Suite, or you work with any of the tools, you need to list that out maybe separately to your skills. Skills are not tools. They're not the same. They're very much a different thing altogether. So make sure when you're putting your skills, that's separate from the tools. Also, you can have 3 or 4 achievements and then 3 or 4 projects that you've worked on. Again, have that all on the front page so that when an employer reads it, they see, wow, yes, this person really hits home. Everything hits exactly as what they're looking at. Now, what you also want to do is make sure that your key skills and achievements in what you're saying resonate really with everything that you're doing. Just hold on a second. Try the so yeah, back to this. Essentially, you basically in the personal statement, you can have some references back to the to your achievements and skills. But what you really want to do is demonstrate why you're passionate about that industry. There's no good writing words like passionate or organized. What you need to do is demonstrate your passion. So really interested in Formula One, really enjoy engine design, or I'm really interested in cybersecurity. I'm really keen on learning. I've spent time learning about pen testing, or analytics, GRC. Explain why you're interested, and that demonstrates your passion better than writing I'm passionate about X, Y, and Z. Okay. Then what you need to do is also, when you're writing a CV, have a base CV, and then it needs to be basically what it needs to do is you need to adapt it for each role. So when you're actually applying for each type of job, you need to mold the CV and the application around that role. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail after. Okay, so there's some common mistakes within a CV. Make sure that you spell check it and check it for grammatical errors. Some of the mistakes that people make is that they write lots of long paragraphs. I mean, I'm talking about in the work experience or even in your achievements. What you want is bullet points. Bullet points are much cleaner and work much better. So essentially, what you want to do is you want to have a situation whereby say, for example, in your achievement section, you want to have 3 achievements. In your project section, you want to have 3 projects. Have them all bullet points with the basic information that you need, because the idea of the CV is to get you to an interview. So effectively, that's what is the most effective way of actually doing it, having it in bullet point form. So another thing that you can do is when you're looking at the how much detail you want to put in there in your projects, you want enough so that people can sort of get the main gist of what you're saying. Also, make sure you put that using what you're trying to do is you're going to remember that each CV is individual to that particular role, that particular company. So you need to make sure you're not using the same CV for every job. And then you need to, as that implies, then you need to adapt your CV for each role. Also, if you've got gaps in your CV, what you want to do is you want to highlight it and show that, hang on a minute, this is why I wasn't working for this period of time. I was away on a holiday. I was backpacking for a year. I went on, family issues, whatever it is. Put them in there, because you know what? Rather than something having to find out why, be proactive. Be proactive. Okay. So the next area is actually LinkedIn. So what I would suggest is use a professional photo and have a heading or a headline which is very much about you and what you stand for. So in my case, I'm a 360 recruiter, the industries I've worked in, and my phone number, so that people can get in touch. If you are, let's say you want to go into Formula One design, I'd have in there future Formula One engine designer, or if you're going into cybersecurity, aspiring SOC analyst, aspiring SOC professional, something like that. Whatever it is, you need to demonstrate that within that headline. Have a picture which is basically, when we say professional, just means you look professional. So a headshot, which is just looking professional, trying to avoid anything that's going to make you seem not on the right path, or something silly. Some people don't like the picture on there, so if you're going to use something different, you can go onto ChatGPT and get it to animate you or make an anime of you. That's fine. Not everybody's comfortable with having the picture out there. And then the banner, LinkedIn banner, have it relevant to yourself, something that resonates with you. So if you like Formula One, or you like automotive, or you like cybersecurity, or you like accountancy, whatever it is that you like, try and demonstrate it on there. Then what you want is a clear summary of who you are and what you're aiming for. So this, in the summary section, it should just basically, in my case, I outline all the things I can bring to a company and what I do. So that, it's very clear, and I've done it in bullet point to make it very easy for people to sort of get the gist. You do it for yourself. So if you're into accountancy, for example, and numbers are your thing, then talk about the areas, cost accounting, management accounting, whether it's just invoicing, purchase ledger, whatever it is that you really enjoy, talk about that. If it's cybersecurity, talk about the aspects of cybersecurity. Whatever it is, add your experience. So some people make this mistake of not adding in voluntary work or work that's unrelated to the area they want to go into. Don't do that. Put in your work experience. Because say, for example, you've been working in a retail outlet. And you know what? Even cybersecurity companies, whereby maybe you're doing a SOC role, which is based 12 hours of pressure within the SOC, or whether you're working in engine design, you're still going to need to have certain people skills, and you need to just demonstrate that. You need to demonstrate that within work that you do, that you've done. So, for example, if you worked in retail, you can show strong interpersonal skills, being disciplined, of being able to get to work on time, ability to deal with sticky situations and difficult customers. And that can happen in any given environment, wherever you work. So you don't necessarily need to have relevant work experience in your experience. Also, volunteering and your education, it's all very important, especially at the start of your career, because that's the thing that's going to set you apart. If you've done a project on, I don't know, let's just take the example of cybersecurity. If you've done some projects in and around automation of SOC or SIEM tools, or developing SIEM tools or anything like that, have it in there. Show that within your education. If you've done some volunteering, because a lot of people resonate with these things, and if it's passionate for you, it demonstrates that even in your LinkedIn profile. So put that in there, and make sure people can see that, because it gives a more holistic outline of what a person's about. Now, the thing you need to also do is you need to then follow companies and join groups of interest. So, for example, for me, I'm really interested in cybersecurity. I'm really interested in various things. So what I do is I've joined groups there, so I can see what's going on in the industry, and that does help, most definitely. And I think it also, you can what do you call it? You can really build up strong connections from groups as well. And people don't use this enough, because there can be people in the groups that you can connect to and how to engage with and talk to. So now, networking with professionals. Some of the things that people always say to me is, "Oh, Musa, but I don't know what to say to them. I don't know how to connect. I don't know what to. How do we engage with senior professionals within the industry?" Okay, I understand. It is a bit of a challenge. It is tough. Often what happens is people really don't know exactly how to do this. I'm going to take you through the very, very basics. First of all, don't be afraid to connect to senior people in the industry. They're not going to, some people, there are a proportion of people who will not connect with you. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't let that deter you from connecting from others. One of the things I always do, or I always suggest, is start to look through people's profiles and see who tends to engage more, who posts, who comments, who likes. And those are the people you really want to actually engage with, because if somebody's got a profile on there but rarely posts anything or rarely does it, it's probably going to be a waste of time, because either they're not very active on LinkedIn, or they just don't see the value of it, or don't really use it. So don't waste your time to connect with them. When you are connecting with someone, don't connect and say, "I would like a job." It's a massive faux pas. What I would do is I would say something like, "Hi, whatever the name is, Mark, Nick, Amanda, whoever. I'm reaching out to connect. So I'm really interested in whatever let's just say I'm really interested in automotive engine design. I see you work as an experienced professional within this. I'd love to hear more about your story and just gain insight from yourself about that." Boom, send it out. Hopefully they'll connect with you. Then you start to show interest in their posts. You connect with them, you engage with them, you talk, because if that's your passion, then you just engage them. So if they post out, let's just say it's one of the designers and they from one of the Formula One teams, and you've joined them, you've connected with them, and you see that there was a race at the weekend, and let's just say Hamilton won, and you can talk about the race. You don't need to talk about engine design specifically, you just say, oh yeah, great races, or Hamilton won, and then you can sort of slowly lead the conversation around that. Engage on the posts, engage with them in messaging, just basically engage. And I think this is where people fall down. They forget that what you're doing is you're dealing with a human being there. How would you want to be? Look at it like this. If you were a senior professional, how would you want to be engaged with? That's what you need. That's a mindset you need to go with. That, right, okay. So this person may be an experienced professional, or maybe they've only got 2 or 3 years experience. All you're trying to do is build a relationship. You're not asking them for a job. You're not asking them to do anything else. All you're trying to do is build a relationship so that they can see you for who you are. It's a long-term thing. It's not a short-term thing, and it's not going to get you a job in a week. If anyone thinks that, then very rarely have I ever known that ever to work that quick. You need to show interest in what they post. You need to engage with them. You need to engage with them messaging. You need to engage with their company posts. And again, as I said there, ask thoughtful questions rather than, can you give me a job? So, for example, if you're into accountancy or you're into cybersecurity, and you've managed to connect up with a hiring manager within your space, and you think, right, okay, I want to just what I want to do is I want to engage with them now. So let's take the example of accountancy. It could be that they're somebody who's an audit specialist. Maybe they're a management accountant specialist. All you do is you engage on their level. You talk about how practices have changed. How has automation made it easier to do what you do? Ask them around what the challenges are, what the challenges the industry is facing now with automation and AI and ChatGPT. And then things like cybersecurity, depending on what area, but you can talk about how is AI, for example, because it's a big topic at the moment. Two things: quantum computing and AI, big topics. You can talk around those. I mean, there's a lot of talk around automation of alerts in SOC, and how automation and AI is being used to reduce down the level of alerts, so that really it's weeding out all of those. You can talk to them about that. If you're interested in pen testing, talk to them about how, do they foresee all pen testing be automated? Will it now become more red teaming or purple teaming rather than just vanilla testing? Is this going to be the future? And how do you future-proof yourself for it? These are the kind of things you make it thought-provoking when you speak to them, so that they feel, well, oh yeah, hang on a minute. This is actually, this person's not asking me for a job. They're quite into all of this, and ask for their advice. If you're thinking of doing a certification, get their advice. Say, right, you know what, I'm thinking of doing let's say for a pen tester, there's different certs, but I'm thinking of doing the what's it called? I'm thinking of doing X certification. And you can ask their advice. Is it worth doing this? It's going to cost me this much. Am I better off trying to get some experience and then do it, or am I better off? And in indirect ways of communicating with them and asking them about these things. Okay, finding jobs and internships. This is probably the real crux of so much of what people are asking around, because again, it's not easy. So there's different ways in which trying to find roles. And I think using LinkedIn's job search filters, definitely one of them. You want to set up your job search filters, but not just LinkedIn. You want to go on to CV Library, Total Jobs, all of the job boards, and make your sort of filters so that it automatically emails you those type of roles that you're looking for. And if it's an internship, that's going to be slightly different, and I'll go through that differently. But if you've graduated and you're looking for your first role, that's how I would do it. I would set those filters up, and that should sit alongside your job search using LinkedIn and building relationships. And ideally, if you're at university and you're in your second year, this is where you need to start to build your connections, so that when you leave university, you've built enough of a relationship with people that they will tell you, yeah, we've got some grad roles going, we've got some entry-level roles going, we've got some, first-line positions going. apply and let me know you've applied. They'll often tell you because they're looking for bright sparks and they're looking for people to come to them directly to save them recruitment fees. So look at company websites for opportunities. What you need to do is maybe one of the ways which I always tell people is identify the companies that you would like to work for, and I think what do you call it? I think that works just as well, because what happens is you can see, right, okay, I like, for example, I like NCC Group, or I like Sakama, or I like Bridewell, I like Clarinet, whoever it is. You've got a whole load of companies there and you're thinking, right, I really want to get into these. So these are the areas I'm interested in. Let me try and connect up with the right people. And also let me look on their website regularly. Let me connect up with the HR person, talent person, whoever it is, connect up with them. Also attend careers fairs and online events. These are usually really, really useful. I know sometimes it's difficult, especially if you're neurodivergent and you find it difficult to in-person events because you're a bit shy, you're an introvert, but you have to get out your comfort zone a little bit. Attend, if that's difficult for you, try and attend online events. That can also work as well, and that gives you the security of not feeling like you're being watched by 1,000 million people. Do it that way, absolutely fine. But careers, affairs, and online events, again, your universities and your colleges should be able to tell you when these are. I know within the defence sector there's quite a few. I know within cybersecurity there's quite a few jobs fairs. There's lots of stuff that goes on. You just need to tap in and find out where. The other thing is, once you're starting to build up a network, you can ask your network for recommendations. So, once you're starting to build, if you're in engineering and you've managed to find a lot of people within the industry, and you're starting to build that up as you're at university, and what you can do is you can ask your network on LinkedIn to identify and tell you, all right, okay, what you do, what's the situation in terms of roles? Is there anything coming up? Can you? And they will tell you. You can ask them also to recommend you in. So, for example, if you built up a relationship with somebody and you know that there's a role going, you can ask them. So even if it's not the hiring manager and it's somebody else, what you need to do is you need to be proactive, but you also need to make sure that you're utilizing the full network that you can in order to get the maximum benefit whilst remaining human. So what that means is, don't automatically ask people for jobs, but build up your connections and networks. And as you're doing that, if you see opportunities, by all means ask the person. Not the first thing you want to ask them when you start to connect, but as you build up a relationship, nobody's going to knock you for trying, and that's a fact. So you definitely want to go down that route. How to apply effectively. Now, again, this is a really, really important. So this is what I was saying earlier. What you want to do is you want to identify those companies that you'd like to work for. Okay, so if there's specific organizations, let's just say you're interested in Formula One, there's a few different Formula One or automotive groups within the UK, and you think, right, I just want to get an internship or a job with one of these groups. You make a list of all of the companies. Okay, you then go onto LinkedIn and you find out the hiring managers or the recruitment people or the talent acquisition people within those organizations. You then try to connect with them. Again, remember what I said earlier about what type of message to send across. Okay, I think it's very important that you tailor each message to each person. So, for example, if somebody's got massive interest in accountancy or Formula One or automotive or cybersecurity or IT or digital transformation or operational technology or SOC or whatever it is, you focus on that area. Okay, you then build a relationship, you share interest, you ask the right questions, you engage with the company's posts and updates, and you engage with that person. You do all of this. What we normally call this in what do you call it? Sales. In a sales perspective, is warming the person up. Some people think it's cold, but the reality is people buy from people, and it's the same thing. People will, if they know you and like you, there's more chance of them recommending you to the hiring manager. Say, yeah, really, we want to hire this person. They're really good. We've been talking to them for 6 months, 12 months. They're really keen, and I think they could fit the role. At least that way you'll get an interview. So if they're recruiting, ask them about the opportunity. Nobody, if you started to build up a relationship, nobody's going to knock you for saying, right, okay, I see you've got this role open. Who's the right person to speak to? Could you tell me more about the role if it's them recruiting? And then what you do is you ask them, what do they need to see in your CV and covering letter? You make notes and you absolutely blow out the water by doing everything they tell you. Okay, and then follow up and let them know that you've applied at the end, so that they know that you're serious and interested, and you've basically done it. Right. So I would have asked if anyone's got any questions. I think unfortunately the stream hasn't worked, so that's why I've had to do this, and I'm going to post this out so people can then go back. If anyone's got any questions, message me on LinkedIn and I will answer them for you. And I am going to look to try and help 5 people with a 1-hour session each next week. Just to help them with their internship or job search. Best of luck, everybody. And if you need something, do let me know. Thank you.